Introducing Jonathan AK-47 Kunneman.
Ladies and gentlemen, game changers across the world, welcome to another episode. And this one's a special episode because Pastor Ant, we got my brother Jon, who is AK-47 Kunneman, 5-0 as a pro fighter. And man, we're glad to have you on the show. We've been wanting to get you for a while. So
yeah, he's been bugging me. He said, hey, you got to come on my show. So
yeah,
we're here.
Yeah. Finally, we got you in Omaha and on the LOH campus again. But yeah, man, we're really glad that you've joined us. And obviously, you know, you've been kicking tail, man, in the fighting world. And, you know, ever since I've known you as a, you know, little brother and everything, you've always had that fighting spirit to you and just, you know, been determined and driven. I mean, Pastor Ant, you've known him since, golly, man, how old was he?
As long as you've known me.
Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah, I remember him being, well, he's never was really little, but in all the, you know, we've got tons of stories with Jon, you, my brother.
We all got in trouble, man. Yeah, the four of us. It was bad.
The story we were all playing like dodgeball upstairs.
Oh, yeah. There was a church meeting that Dad was having with the leaders of the church. And I think like we were all upstairs just roughhousing.
Might have been Brandon.
I think that was probably Brandon.
It's probably Brandon. But
yeah, you're trying to get out of it.
I remember I was running. We used to have the Jack and Jill bathroom, and I ran across and got hit in the nose when someone popped out, and my nose was like, remember we had to interrupt the whole meeting?
Yeah, I remember these days, man.
Yeah.
Church memories. We put holes in walls, things like that, man. We really did.
Lots
we were
of
like
stories.
that.
Yeah.
Stories
Yeah. Yeah. So Pastor Ant, let's get into this. Okay. So Jon is 5-0 as a fighter, right? And I remember like all the times like you were fighting over in Alaska and everything. Like I'd be staying up late, like church nights and everything and like watching it. But okay, dude, this man just won in 18 seconds. Like 18 seconds. So let's talk about this.
Well, we got to back this up because what people need to know is that most of his fights don't last more than a round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy watching just the level of dominance that you operate in. So I think before we get into the fights, let's just talk about like, so what does it take, man? What does it take to train?
Yeah.
You know, how in terms of mindset and perspective, because I think a lot of what you have trained your body, trained your mind to become successful in what you do translates a lot to people that are watching.
Yeah.
Just in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about our faith a lot, but in general in life, you have to have a certain mindset and attitude and perspective about yourself and your identity to be able to walk in a place where you can just say, I'm the baddest dude out here. So man, share a little bit about that.
I think I've always had this kind of drive to chase hard things, like things that are like, don't give you instant gratification. Like, you know, if you want like something that gives you instant gratification, you go get a burger or something. Like I've always hated the idea of like instant, like worthless luxury. And I've loved like to like work towards something that's going to like, in a way, like I kind of have to suffer to get through the grind to get to the result. And I feel like fighting does that more than anything else that I've done in my life. And I feel like I love the idea of like, you got a name across from you. It's 12 weeks out from the fight and he's training to like hurt you and you have to train and you have to eat clean, make sure your weight's good.
Totally.
You have to make sure like your mind's right. Cause you can have the best training in the world, but if your mind is like not believing in what you're doing and cause like the way I always say it, it's like if you're in college and you're taking a test and you study for that test, you know, like, okay, I'm probably going to pass. Like you can kind of gauge like, but a fight, how many times have you seen it in the UFC? You see a guy train so hard, put everything, blood, sweat, and tears into that fight, and then they walk into the first punch and they get knocked out. So that level of like unknown that you have of like, it's taught me, I've always been like an anxious person, like trying to like know what's going to happen in the future, what my future holds, but I've learned from it to like live in the moment of like, you can only control what you can control. So I can only control how hard I work in the gym, how my mindset's going to be. And like, I can only focus on the tangible things that are like right there versus like worrying about the fight. What if I get knocked out? What if I get choked out? Of course that can happen. You have to accept that that's the possibility, but you won't know until you get in there. And that level of unknown breaks a lot of people. You see people crumble under that pressure and it's really difficult, but then you see people like shine, and I guess you got to find your way through it all, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because you mentioned a phrase I'm going to start using where you said worthless luxury.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that because I think that's a lot of what we're facing in the current culture where people are expecting things to make them comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at affordable housing,
Everything in our life.
affordable healthcare, you know, working at McDonald's and getting paid $30 an hour.
Yeah.
Like we just want this life of comfort and instant gratification, but it takes away that growth and development, which you just talked about, of being able to thrive in the unknown.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, though, the worthless luxury, because I want to talk about where you live, because I think that's far from comfort.
Yeah, we got to.
So you were sharing this offset. You live somewhere like, I don't know, 20,000 feet in the air. I'm just joking.
10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
Okay. That's basically space.
Yeah, it's pretty. So 10,000 feet above sea level. Basically, like you've heard of Denver's like the Mile High City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 5,280 feet. We're almost double that. So we're
Jeez.
almost 2 miles into the air, essentially based on sea level. And so it's brutal because like a lot of times you got to build your own fires to keep the house warm. You got to shovel feet of snow. Like we were joking when I first was moving to that house. I talked to like the property manager and she was like, yeah, we don't measure our snow in inches here. We measure our snow in feet. And I was like, oh, that's going to be intense. So it's definitely brutal. I mean, we literally you get snow all the way into June and it's like normal.
And we thought we had it bad in Nebraska.
You hit me up in June and told me that like you were shoveling snow, like 6 feet of snow.
6 inches,
Or
6
six-
inches, 6 inches of snow.
6 inches, I'm tripping, yeah. 6 inches, but then it was like 15 degrees outside.
The night,
and
overnight, yeah. So like
in June out there, man.
But in Denver, like
I'd
you
be
gotta
out there,
think
though.
every
I would be out
know
there.
you
Yeah,
would.
I'm a hoodie guy, man. You know that.
it kind of depends. Like, so like the way to measure it is like it's 3.5 to 5 degrees colder every 1,000 feet you go up. So if it's 40 or 50 degrees in Denver, you minus 30 degrees from that. That's the temperature at our house.
Oh my gosh.
So when you go up,
Yeah, and you get bears up there,
everything,
wildlife.
bears, moose, mountain lions, wolves. But you see cool animals, like you see deer and elk, and then you see foxes a lot. I got really close to a fox. I almost fed a fox one time.
Yeah, you sent me that video.
Yeah, I was like, they
fled
love
at the last
tuna.
second.
Tuna, I'm telling you, I've watched,
tuna?
and you're not supposed to feed the animals up there really, but I was like, I got to touch this fox. So I was like,
Only John.
I walked up with a can or a thing of tuna, like a little tuna pouch, trying to feed it.
So so for our audience, he's got a crazy bear story with him and his roommate, like that you guys have to hear. Like this is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. Like, please tell the bear story.
So I was saying to them is like, so we live on a mountain, and so a lot of the time, like we're higher up than the storm because, like, if you think of like a mountain, we're up here, and then the valley's like down below. So like a lot of times, like our house is higher than the clouds. They call it a cloud inversion.
Yeah.
So like you're above the clouds. But a lot of the time you're like equal to the clouds is where like the storm's at. So like instead of the lightning and thunder being above you, it's like in front of you because we're on the side of a mountain.
Jeez.
And with that said, it was storming like crazy. Like there was like a crazy thunder, crazy lightning, hail, and winds are just out of this world. And this bear is trying to get into our house because he's like terrified. And I actually kind of felt bad because you could tell he was so startled and just like scared of what was going on. Because the whole
bad for a
our house-
bear.
Felt bad for a bear.
Well, it was a small little black bear. Black bears in Colorado you'll find aren't like mean. They're not like grizzly bears. Grizzly bears are like horrible. Stay away from those. But black bear, you don't feel as bad for them, but it's trying to get into our house. And my roommate's like, he grew up in the mountains, and so I was like, what should we do? And he's like, what? Trust me. He goes, I'm gonna have you open the door, and then he told me he was gonna tell me to close the door. So I opened the door.
You're holding a gun in your other hand.
I am holding the gun. Just, I don't know if he got jumped by the bear or something. Like, I gotta make sure. I don't know. So I opened the bear, and I'm not kidding. He run like a running drop kick with like both feet, kicks the bear like away from the door, and the bear freaks out and like gets startled and runs away. That's not advised, by the way. Yeah. If you guys, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like-
Okay. So then that leads perfectly to our
like-
point about this, living in luxury and all these easy things that people get handed nowadays. But like ever since I've known you, man, like you've been this guy that like just puts yourself in. We say it on this show, and I mean, we've talked about it, but like people have got to learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And we say it all the time.
Yes.
so many people in this world like complain about, oh, well, America's this, America's that. Well, I'm like, leave the country, you know, at that point. I mean, because we are so much better than like so many places in the world. I mean, you've traveled the world too and seen some crazy things, like, you know, even talk about that. But like, you know, your resiliency, I mean, you face type 1 diabetes and you've never let that control you. You're climbing mountains. You've, you know, peaked all these mountains in Colorado and in other places as well. Is it 58 mountains in Colorado?
Yeah. So
peaked?
the tallest mountains in Colorado they're called 14ers, which is short for 14,000 feet.
Yeah.
So the tallest mountain in the United States is 20, and that's in Alaska. And then there's literally like no mountains between 15 and 19,000 feet. So the next tallest, behind the tallest mountain in Alaska is the ones in Colorado, and they're 14,000 feet. So I've climbed all 58 of them.
So then talk about that resiliency, because I mean, I remember when you were lifting weights, man, like you thought you were going to go down the football road because there was colleges that were looking into that. And then you finally was just like, I enjoy lifting weights. Then lifting weights turned into self-defense, and then self-defense turned into I want to fight and be a fighter. And then you got into mountain climbing. And I mean, I remember watching you, man, at 16, 17 years old, like squatting 700 pounds like it was nothing, man. And like, you know,
not like it was nothing. That was,
I know, but you made it
brutal.
easy. Let's be honest, you know? And so, you know, it's like, and then, you know, deadlifting. I mean, what was your max again on a deadlift?
800 with wraps, like straps.
Dude, I had a 550 deadlift, which is really good. And this man's throwing up 800.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's insane. So like I've watched where you face something that most people in this world never think of having to face.
Yeah.
And every day you are having to manage your health, manage the mental health even of that. And I've watched you defeat that. I've watched you go against that and say, hey, like, this is not what's going to define me. So what advice would you give to people out there in this world that, you know, there's Christians watching, there's people maybe searching for God. There's people that, you know, they don't understand maybe what resiliency is all about because maybe they've had things handed to them or they've had a hard life, but they don't know how to fight through it. They don't know what it takes mentally to fight through some of those things. Talk about that.
I'd say the biggest thing is like I was saying earlier is control what you can control. Is
That's
like,
good.
you see, I feel like I said, myself, like I'm a person that will like try to worry about like, I'm kind of a control freak as far as like, I'll try to like make sure I'm on top of everything that happens. And like, you just can't live that way. You have to like, if you have a goal or you have like something whatever you're trying to achieve, whether it's a mindset, whether it's a goal by, you know, whether you're physically or whatever in your life that you like want, you have to know that you can't worry about how the outcome's going to turn out because you have to focus on what's in front of you. And I feel like we all can live that way. Is like, you get up every day on time, you eat a good breakfast, you go to work, and you control like the things that are each day. You don't worry about tomorrow. You don't worry about next week. You don't worry about like what's going to happen 5 years from now. You worry about like literally what is right now. And I think it's really simple advice, but that's how I've been trying to like live, is trying to like not worry about things that I don't have control. That's what God does. You know, he controls, like, I feel like all the things that you can't control. So if you focus on what's right in front of you, everything else will work itself out.
Well, that just reminds me of two Bible verses that we've talked about before, Proverbs 20 and 24, and then Proverbs 37 or Psalms 37, which talks about, you know, the Lord orders your steps. And we focus so much just as Christians and really just in general on, like Jon was saying, just the end result of a thing. Yeah. And we completely ignore the importance of giving 100% in the process. So wherever you're at right now, whatever job you're in, wherever you're at physically, wherever you're at with a particular diagnosis that you believe you're walking through for healing, start now, one day at a time. Use all of the faith that you have, use all of the resources available, start taking steps, one, to, you know, change your mindset, which we talk about renewing your mind, read the word, but also, like Jon was saying, some of those practical things where you shift your focus. You know, a lot of people talk about wanting to do this and that. And Pastor Matt, we've talked about this before in other shows about, you know, New Year's resolutions and how few people actually set goals. Guys, there's a practicality to your walk with the Lord. And it starts with one, just being organized and setting goals every single day. What's the goal that you're going to focus on accomplishing today? Yeah. You know, so many times we look at the big picture and you can get discouraged because you think, oh, this is so far away or I can't possibly do it. But if you focus on that moment in time, like Jon was saying, you know, that changes your mindset each and every day until you reach that attained goal.
And enjoying the process. Like I could sit here and like diabetes is not fun. Type 1 diabetes it sucks. Like I've calculated based on how many years I've been a diabetic, I've probably taken 70,000 insulin shots in my life. And it's like I could easily sit there and be like, oh, I've taken 70,000 shots. This sucks. But then it's like at the same time, I can look at it in a positive way and be like, but I'm happy to be here. I'm happy I get to wake up and train and be a professional athlete and like live a life that I get fulfillment out of. And I feel like a lot of people, like, even if they're on the right path, like, I don't know if you guys know Georges St. Pierre is one of the best,
one of the greatest fighters.
best UFC fighters of all time, like
yeah.
top 5 ever. And he said, looking back at his career, they asked him what he could do different after he retired. He said, I would have enjoyed the process of what I was doing instead of being anxious about the fight, instead of being anxious about, oh, am I going to get hurt? Am I going to lose my fight? Am I going to like enjoy the process too? And I feel like a lot of people, like, how many days yesterday, do you remember what you did yesterday? Do you remember what you did yesterday? It's like every day becomes a blur. And I feel like if you live in the present, you'll have, your days will be better. You're not just going to try to get through the workday or get through the day if you're enjoying, even if it's not fun. Like the Army's slogan is embrace the suck. Like it's like sometimes like, you have to like, you have to like,
that's very true.
Be able to endure things that aren't fun, or like there's certain things in fighting I hate. Like sometimes I hate wrestling practice because it's so tiring and you're exhausted, or like you just got to get through it and you got to enjoy the fact that you're able to do that in the first place.
Yeah. Instead of saying I have to, I get to.
Yeah.
So it's that thankfulness.
I think that's honestly what, and I know you and I, Jon, were talking about this off air, but like, I mean, Jesus had to have that mindset, when he went to the cross, that like, hey, this is for humanity. He put his own like desires are in his, head. He was kind of like, okay, God, let this cup pass from me, Father, let this cup pass from me. But then he said, not my will, your will be done. And then even the apostles had the same thing in Acts. Like you look at Paul and everything he went through too, like, shipwrecked and imprisoned and like stoned and everything, like, and then all the apostles were going through, just tremendous amounts of persecution, but yet they had like a resiliency and I think and a discipline, and like they embraced the suck. I mean, how can you go through torture and then like get put in prison and then like sing praises to God like while you're in pain? You know what I mean? And I think it's like so many people like could use that mindset, and it's like you're one of the most disciplined people I've ever met, so it's like, talk about that even from a spiritual aspect. Like, there's a lot of people out there, like, especially what we've seen in our country, and you're very outspoken about our country too. There's a lot of things that you've posted about that like you really do not like, and how they're going after our children. They're, really trying to take a lot of people's rights away. And then you were outspoken against the whole like, COVID scamdemic and a lot of that stuff too. So, touch on whatever you feel like when it comes to that from a spiritual aspect, and even this country.
As far as a country goes, I feel like it's like I just try to look at everything objectively without like, everyone has a bias of like something they want. Like when they believe something, whether it's right wing, left wing, they have a bias to what they gravitate towards. Even if it's like subconscious, they're like, oh, this is the best and here's why, and they're biased towards that. So I always try to, as best I can, get away from that and not be biased when I look at things. And the way I see it is, if you look at both sides, like we'll get into it, the whole Trump thing, it's like, what side's trying to play dirty? You can obviously see like they're trying to prevent what sides, like you don't see like Trump trying to go after Biden or Hillary. You could easily, I'm sure there's things out there you could incriminate them on, Hillary and Biden and all these other figures that are going after Trump. And it's like, it's obvious, like by taking, for example, I live in Colorado, they took Trump off the Colorado ballot to vote for him. That almost tells me immediately like, okay, I should consider voting for him, because it's like, why would they try to remove someone if it's a free country? What are they afraid of? That's what I'm trying to say. What are they afraid of? Like, why? You can see what side's playing dirty and what's crossing the line, and like what side is like pushed the other side to almost like, we got to make change. The other side is just like letting society fall down. I mean, we have like Denver. I've seen Denver go down the toilet in the last like 2 years, as far as like there's homeless people everywhere, like gas prices went way up, like it's like, and I'm seeing it firsthand, and it's like
beef jerky, like even.
Yeah, beef jerky. I took a picture of beef jerky at the gas station one time. It was $40 for a huge bag.
What?
At a gas
He
station in
me,
Colorado.
I'm like, there's no way.
I'm not kidding. I literally saw it. I mean, it was a big bag and it wasn't Jack Link's. It was kind of a better bag. But still, $40 for like a pound of meat is like, unless you're getting a T-bone steak, is not.
I was going to say, you need that's a tomahawk.
That's a tomahawk. Yeah. But for some beef, and it's like little things like that. And it's like, I look at my insulin prices. I pay a lot of money for my life-saving daily medication. And I'm like, I see the prices when Trump was in and when Biden's in. I see like, we never talked about World War when Trump was in, but now we have more world conflicts overseas than we've ever had in the last 20 years.
Wow.
And it's like, I just kind of, I look at it through a lens that like doesn't benefit me. And I try to see like, okay, how is the status of our country right now?
That's smart.
How is what side looks like they're trying to be evil and play dirty? Like you don't see, like I said, you don't see Trump trying to incriminate Hillary or Biden or like there's no 34 counts of fraud on any of these other
let's just
so
call
of course
it
they're going to put it on Trump.
And she has blood in her hands with Benghazi, but yet we want to ignore that, or we want to ignore
the emails. And there's just and it's the thing. It's like I'm not I'm not in the political scene, so I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm just saying like you can look at it from an objective standpoint of like what side is like right. I always try to base, if I'm biased to anything, it's morals. Like Trump's not perfect. Trump's done a lot of things his whole life that might not look morally right to everybody, but what he does do is he does stand up for the greater good for our country and for everybody that's in our country through a moral standpoint. So even though he's not perfect, but like in the Bible, you could list every person in the Bible that did something wrong. Like Jesus is the only one that didn't, never committed sin. And so it's like, so like everyone in the Bible like made mistakes their whole life. And now you look at like Trump, like I, for a long time was not the biggest Trump fan. I kind of looked at him as like, he's kind of, not my favorite. But then I looked at it, I'm like, nah, like there's a moral standard that we have to have in our country. And I feel like there is no one better. And I'm not trying to be all political, but it's like that's the moral standard that, to me, that's the number one candidate.
Why is he the guy that always gets the hate? There's something behind it.
Well, it's because
pull the curtain back.
That's because it's not political. It's spiritual.
Yeah.
Like John was just saying, it's good versus evil, and we need to be objective about how we're viewing it. We can dress it up all we want. We can call it abortion, or we can call it, alternative healthcare, but it's murder. Right. So you have to just start taking a step back and looking at it for what it really is.
Like with kids, like you don't see, Republican candidates or people that work for Republican political figures like getting in trouble for pedophilia. You don't see that.
Right.
Why is it Biden that's sniffing kids and saying, "Oh, you look sexy,"
or what?
I mean, just call it what it is.
Clinton's, I don't know. He was involved in Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016. Anthony Weiner literally was sexting a underage girl.
Yeah.
Where did that story go?
Where did that story go? If that was Trump, that would have been the biggest story since we landed on the moon. If that was Trump, he would be in life in prison right now. I think Anthony Weiner I know he didn't get life
on the wrist.
He went to prison, but it wasn't very long. I think he's out now. Yeah. And it's like if that was Trump or someone even affiliated with Trump, the whole left wing would have melted down. The news
they would ask for capital punishment again to be back.
Would have imploded if that happened to Trump. And it's like you just see how how the sides, like what side plays dirty, and like I look at it that way, and it's like that tells me, aside from any biases I have, most of the people I know support Trump, so I'm already kind of biased because that's what I hear, and I look at it for myself and think for myself and say, no, this is the side that is standing up for morality as a whole for our country, and that's the basis of everything in our country. We got it. If we aren't a moral country and we're not doing the right things by God and by societal standards, and like, what are we even doing? And that's the way I see it.
That's spot on.
I think it is.
I mean, if you got something, Pastor Ant.
I mean, he nailed it on the head. He already gave the real account where you don't even have to like theorize about this. It's actually happening. You talked about it in Denver. The homelessness rate has gone up. You're paying $40 for some beef jerky.
You're seeing people in
it's
tents.
Crazy.
Like my old apartment that I lived in before I moved to the mountains, there's literally like the whole street is full of tents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's people like, and it's not homeless. It's they let like 40,000 immigrants, undocumented immigrants to Denver. And they're like letting people stand on the side of the road and wash your windshield with squeegees for $5. And they're on every intersection. I'm not kidding. And I'm not trying to sound the wrong way, but it's like, the whole fundamental thing of immigration, if you do something illegally off the get-go by illegally entering our country, you broke the law because you did it illegally, not legally. So how are in any world are you allowed to be here if the first thing you did when you came in the country was illegal?
I mean,
and we're still allowing thousands and thousands and thousands of people just walking over our country, not even from Mexico, not even from Latin America, from all over the world. And we're like, where are these people coming from? Why do they need to come here? They literally, they have a video of like 50 Chinese men, single Chinese men, all our age, mid-20s. Like, why are they here? Why do they need to come here? They're well-dressed. They don't look like any sort of refugee or anything like that. And we're sitting here, we'll put all this money to foreign countries. We'll send billions of dollars to Ukraine, billions of dollars here, there, and yet we can't even keep our own veterans off the streets.
So Jon, that was so good. And just in this last, like, we have just a little under 2 minutes here, just about a minute and a half, but talk about, you know, your sponsors and how you rely on sponsors in your fight path, and how can people support you in your journey?
Yeah. Fighting takes a lot of resources to make happen. Especially at my level, I'm hoping to get signed to the UFC, which is like considered, it's the NFL for fighting. And until you get to that point, you're not making a ton of money. And you have to, within your fights, and you have to rely on, you know, you got to have a nutritionist, coaching, you have to have physical therapy. You got to make sure your body's on point to perform at its absolute best. So there's a lot of resources that go into fighting. So if you'd like to help out and you'd like to sponsor me, my Venmo is Jonathan-Kunneman. If you'd like logos on your shorts or on my fight shorts, you can send me a message on Instagram. It's Jon Kunneman. And you can message me and we can talk about getting a logo on my fight shorts if that's something you want to do, or if you simply just want to help out to join the team and be able to help me out with getting to my next fights, getting to the UFC, and allowing me to have the most success going into fights. I'm eternally grateful for it. So if you'd like to help out, I think they're going to put a little ticker on the bottom that'll have the information that you guys need.
Yeah, and you know, I feel led. This is something Pastor Ant and I also have talked about. Game Changers, we're going to donate to you. I think we would also love to have that GC on your shorts, not going to lie. So, yeah, you got it on right now. Great. So, yeah, so we're going to do something personally from Game Changers and support you. You know, you're on our show and everything, and you're my brother. So, obviously, you know, that's something we want to do and, you know, be able to help you out. So, guys, links are in the description. We're going to have links to ways you can support him. You also probably saw lower thirds dropping on your screen as well. So you can always rewind this broadcast, find those there, and take a picture of, you know, the lower thirds, the QR codes, whatever you want to use to support him. Please support him, and you know, he's looking for sponsors. So, you know, this is a great opportunity to get behind his vision. And, you know, listen, we're the body of Christ. We're all one body. So we got to support each other in our visions and the things that we're doing. So just asking you guys to get behind him on his journey. But until then, guys, we're excited for next week. We have another episode with him. Today's actually July 9th, but we have July 16th next Tuesday, and at that time, he will be 25 years old because July 14th is his 25th birthday. So, yeah, man, you're one of the wisest people I know, and, you know, you're very, very disciplined. So, you know, well above your years. So,
thank you.
Excited, man. You're going to be turning 25. So, again, when he comes on the show next week, make sure you have happy birthday comments for him. And, hey, send him a birthday gift. Support him. Support his vision. He needs sponsors. Go change the game in your city. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.